During an Italian tech conference that was streamed live on Friday, Tesla's chief executive officer Mr. Elon Musk said that the ongoing computer chip crisis would be likely over by next year. The tech mogul also noted that he believes the global semiconductor shortage that has pummeled the auto industry over the past 2 years should be a short-term problem that's going to be addressed soon, despite many disagreeing. COVID-19 lockdowns have resulted in an overwhelming demand for computers and many integrated power electronics that the supply chain couldn't handle, particularly the semiconductor industry. This microchip shortage, in turn, hit very hard the auto industry and other companies that depend heavily on microchips for the production of gaming computers and other products. Electric car makers like Tesla use computer chips in everything from brake sensors and parking cameras to power steering and entertainment systems in their cars. Having said that, several EV makers are grappling with the global chip shortage, causing some automakers to temporarily halt production. For instance, Mr. Musk said in July that the production of Tesla's Powerwall product, a backup battery for the home, was lagging as a result of the chip shortage. Big names in the auto industry like BMW, Volkswagen, Ford, Daimler, and more previously had been forced to suspend car production at various assembly lines and slash their delivery targets. And Tesla, unfortunately, is not the odd one out, as it has also temporarily halted the vehicle production in one of its facilities during the year. When highlighting the company's performance in the third quarter, Mr. Musk noted that the biggest challenge that Tesla has been currently facing is the supply chain challenge, especially the shortage of vehicle parts like microcontroller chips. Recently, Pat Gelsinger, chief executive officer of Intel, one of the biggest chip companies, noted that the global chip shortage could last for a couple of years for the semiconductor industry to catch up with the burgeoning demand. And according to a recent report from consulting company AlixPartners, the ongoing chip shortage is predicted to cost the auto industry a whopping $210 billion in revenue this year alone. Now, Tesla CEO Elon Musk has confirmed that global semiconductor supply chain issues have had a major impact on Tesla. Unlike several other industry leaders like Pat Gelsinger and Glenn O'Donnell, vice president at Forrester, an advisory company, who see the issue lasting for some years to come, Mr. Musk's outlook is more optimistic, as he is confident it would be solved in short term. Since semiconductor demand will remain high and supply will remain constrained, we expect this supply chain problem to last through 2022 and into 2023, Mr. O'Donnell noted. Tesla CEO, however, believes that many chip manufacturing plants are being set up to address the shortage by ramping up the production of the commodity by next year. While the Technoking did not specify what chip production companies he was referencing, chipmakers such as Intel and TSMC have dropped hints at building new plants in the United States to boost their supply. However, these companies won't come online anytime soon, according to unconfirmed reports. However, Mr. Musk's remarks should not be entirely ignored, considering that Tesla is arguably one of a very few companies that have been handling the ongoing supply chain problems the best. During the first quarter and second quarter earnings calls, the billionaire revealed that Tesla was able to bypass the chip shortage by rewriting the software in its electric vehicles and switching to alternative chips like microcontrollers. This quarter, and I think we'll continue to see that a little bit in the second and the third quarters, had some of the most difficult supply chain challenges that we have ever experienced in the life of Tesla, and same difficulties with supply chain, with parts, over the whole range of parts, Mr. Musk said during the first quarter 2021 earnings call. Obviously, people have heard about the chip shortage. This is a huge problem, he reiterated. He also added during the second quarter 2021 earnings call that company had been able to navigate through global chip supply issues in part by switching quickly to alternative microcontrollers, while at the same time developing software that's compatible with new chips made by different microcontroller chip suppliers. Other than switching to microcontrollers and writing new firmware, there were speculations that the automaker was considering purchasing its own chip plant to address the shortage. Efforts are also seemingly underway to make sure the automaker has a robust supply of the components in the near future. For instance, recent reports from South Korea indicate that Tesla's main supplier, Samsung Electronics, has chosen Taylor, Texas as a suitable site for its upcoming $17 billion semiconductor plant. As per the same reports, the chip facility is expected to start the production by 2024. Samsung's Taylor happens to be nearby Tesla's upcoming Gigafactory, Texas, the facility where the company's all-electric pickup truck, the Tesla Cybertruck, and updated Model Y crossover would be produced. Tesla is also reportedly in talks with the world-leading chipmaker Samsung Electronics for the supply of its next-generation full self-driving chip, commonly referred to as Tesla's Hardware 4 computer or Full Self-Driving Computer 2. The automaker intends to use this chip in its first units of the Cybertruck, which is expected to roll off Gigafactory Texas's production lines next year. With Samsung Electronics securing a chip supply deal at Tesla, it appears that the company is looking to beat out its close competitor, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing (TSMC), for the Tesla Cybertruck's Hardware 4 computer deal. We can, however, take this news with a grain of salt, as the original report was published by the Korea Economic Daily and individuals familiar with the matter. Based on the information, Tesla's and Samsung's deal is already sealed. This would arguably allow Samsung to invest in the lucrative EV segment. According to the Korea Economic Daily's publications, the electric automaker and the South Korean chipmaker have been designing samples of the Hardware 4 self-driving chip since the start of this year. With this in mind, it is hard to argue against the fact that Tesla's Hardware 4 self-driving chip would be produced at Samsung Hwaseong plant in South Korea. The publication insists that Samsung will employ 7nm processing technology to create the new FSD4 chip. According to the same report, initial production of the chip could kick off as soon as the fourth quarter of 2021. But this is not the first time Tesla has partnered with Samsung Electronics. The chipmaker currently manufactures Tesla's Hardware 3 chip that's fitted into the automaker's cars like Model X, Model Y, Model S, and Model 3. While the 7nm computer chips aren't as advanced as their 5nm counterparts, they allow for higher and more stable production yields, according to Samsung, as the automaker is planning to start the mass production of its Cybertruck and a $25,000 Tesla electric hatchback. Along with the launching of more gigafactories, it makes sense to have a higher production yield. This implies that Tesla should produce its upcoming cars at a record speed and volume. The electric car maker Tesla and Samsung Electronics agreed on the 7nm technology to ensure the safety of Tesla's next-generation EVs, a new publication noted. Tesla's Hardware 4 chip was officially unveiled at the company's AI Day in August. Tesla's CEO Elon Musk noted that the new FSD computer would be the first installed in the Cybertruck to allow it to achieve full self-driving. According to Mr. Musk, Hardware 4 would likely be capable of performing 1000% safer than a human driver. Tesla's current Hardware 3 only performs at a 300% safer level. I am confident that Tesla's Hardware 3 or full self-driving chip will be able to achieve full self-driving at a safety level much greater than a human driver, probably between 200 to 300% better, Mr. Musk said. Obviously, there will be a future Hardware 4 or next-generation full self-driving chip, which will first introduce in the upcoming Cybertruck, so maybe in about a year, he added. Mr. Musk reiterated that the goal of the Hardware 4 or FSD Computer 2 would be to enhance the safety gap between self-driving cars and human drivers. And just like there are many users on the road who have different driving abilities, but we still let people drive, you don't have to be the best driver in the world to be on the road, Mr. Musk said. He made it clear that hardware 4 or full self-driving computer 2 is going to be enough to offer full self-driving performance with subsequent future software updates via the recently released FSD beta button. So, if these reports about Tesla's Samsung chip supply deal are true, it means the automaker has positioned itself better than any other to handle the chip supply issues.